In this mini-series, you'll learn how to save 5 hours per week on your content creation. We'll learn how to repurpose your videos into blog posts, social media content, and email newsletters. In the first part today, I'll teach you the first step, which is getting access to your video transcripts, the data that will power all of your content for repurposing. So I thought it would be useful to start with some context around video creation and my process for that as part of this larger series on content repurposing from your video content. So at a high level, my process for creating videos and repurposing content is generation of ideas. So coming up with ideas that enable me to produce videos on topics that interest my audience, production of supporting assets. So all of the things that come with videos like title, description, script, and thumbnails. Then the actual content creation process. So creating and editing videos. We then can enhance the content that we produce by actually taking the YouTube video content and repurposing it. And what I mean by repurposing it is turning that content into new content that's similarly related, but perhaps to a different audience like LinkedIn or Twitter, or perhaps in a different format like a blog post or a newsletter. So to repurpose your videos in such a way, one key factor we need here is video transcripts. So what we're going to end up with is something like this per video. So if we start at the highest level, what we've got is a complete breakdown per second of a video transcript. And you can see this is a fairly long video that this is a transcript of. What we're then going to want to do is understand and take a summary of that. So we can have, here's an example here of where it segments into different timestamps, key sections of the video. And then finally, we can also summarize the overall video to make it easier for us to digest rather than a transcript, so that we can understand how we want to use this to repurpose into different forms of content. So that's what we're going to end up with. If I jump over to the N8N environment now, and we'll run through the specifics of the flow here. A couple of tools that we're going to be using today. The first is Apify. So if you haven't used Apify before, it's effectively a full stack platform for web scraping. And what that means is it's a plug and play environment for you to utilize pre-built tools that other people have made. So for example, if I want to get a video transcript, lots of other people will have built tools that enable you to grab a transcript from various platforms. So that means that I don't need to completely reinvent the wheel and make this myself. What I can actually do is utilize a pre-built node that somebody else has made. And we're able to use this with N8N because we can connect the API for Apify. We can connect to the API for Apify through our HTTP request node. So the one we're going to be using today is actually this video transcript scraper for YouTube, Twitter, TikTok. It doesn't work on Instagram Reels. It's just specifically for YouTube, Twitter, TikTok videos. And what we're going to do is we're going to connect into this. We're going to run the actor, which is what Apify calls the nodes. We're going to retrieve the results of the video transcript and then use some LLMs and LLM calls to get data from that. So we're going to go to the N8N YouTube channel, and we're just going to use the latest studio update as an example of a video we can use that. So I'm just going to copy the URL back to here, our edit fields node, and you can see from the other triggers that I've got. So with N8N, you can have multiple triggers. With other flows like idea creation, I might want to effectively use this N8N flow. So I've got other triggers that are enabled, but today we're just going to do a manual test and push that URL through manually. That's why I've used this set input. So basically to standardize any inputs that come in through the 3 triggers. For me, that's Airtable being executed by another workflow or a manual test like today. So a couple of steps we need to take, and I'll explain this at a high level first. We are going to scrape the transcript using the Apify actor from the video URL, and we're going to chunk the transcript into certain key sections. And then we're finally going to use that transcript and summarize the video and pass all those outputs back into the format that we had before. We're going to start off with the Apify actor, and what we're going to do is go into the start act or start actor node here. So we're going to connect via post method because we want to pass the URL of the video we want to scrape, and we're going to connect to this URL. So all this URL is broken down into is the base URL for Apify, and then the actor that we're going to use is that's available in the console of the Apify scraper. So this is once I've logged into Apify. In the URL, which you actually can't see on screen, you have console.apify.com/actors/actor name, which ends in 138. And if we go back to the node, you can see we've put in the actor name here /runs. So this is just telling Apify which actor we want to connect to, and then we're going to pass the relevant data. So I've connected up my Apify account, and again, you just need to go to your Apify console, and there's an API key that you're able to use for that. And that is just a pre-built node within, or pre-built credential type within NA10. So we've used a predefined credential type there. We're going to pass the header parameter of content type application/JSON because we're passing JSON data in the input in the form of video URL. And then down here in the body, all we're going to pass is the video URL. And that's all the actor needs to produce everything we need for the transcript to start with. So now we've run that, you can see that we've got a successful call to Apify, and it's given us a status back, which is ready. But one thing that we need to do is effectively then call the get method. So this is just telling us that the data that we've requested in the run has now been executed. What we now need to do is pass in the ID that was returned by the Apify actor to get the status and make sure that we're only retrieving the values once the status has succeeded. So once our Apify actor is actually correctly run, and that's what this wait for finish. We're just going to ensure that we wait for 60 seconds, which is just an arbitrary value we've set, but this one takes about 5-10 seconds to run for a short video of about 10 minutes. And what that will do is that will return the data for the video that requested the transcript for. We then have the default dataset ID returned from the last get request, and what we're going to do there is effectively push another get request in order to grab the actual data returned by the Apify actor. As you can see on the right hand side, what we've got returned from the Apify actor is a breakdown of various things as part of the YouTube video URL. So we've got the title, which is Studio Update 04, which we know as we were on the video a minute ago. We've got a thumbnail, we've got the description, duration, like count, and various other things. And then the most important thing for this flow is actually the transcript. So you can see that it's got a complete breakdown by the second of the transcript. And this is as detailed as it gets. I think this is about a 20-minute video, and we've retrieved the entire transcript in about 30 seconds, if that. What we then are going to do is put in an LLM node. So if we go to tab and we go LLM, basic LLM chain, and what we've then prompted that to do is effectively, we've used a JSON expression here to take the data from the transcript, map a start and end time. So in the next node, what we are actually then doing is what I've called transcript chunking. So first of all, we're going to put the data into a format that's readily readable by the LLM. So we've just got a JSON expression here, which takes the data from the transcript and maps the start and end time from the JSON that we've seen before together, gets rid of all the line breaks. So you can see that this is the format we end up with. So these are the seconds in the segment, and then the text that was part of the transcript. And then what we've told the system prompt to do is effectively, it is a GPT assistant designed to analyze video transcription data. It will produce outputs in the following format as summaries and groups relevant content under specific timestamps. So this is where we get the summary of specific time segments, which is something we might want to put back into our YouTube video description, or just use to understand what our content's about in order to repurpose our content correctly. All we do is take the text returned from the get dataset call to Apify, and then we've given it a few specific pointers around what things that it should deem important, so key themes, arguments, and important details, main ideas, key points, and then gone into detail that actually the length of the summary shouldn't be the same every time. It should depend on the length of the video. If the video or transcription is short, then perhaps we need a more concise summary with fewer breakpoints. So the LLM decides based on the input content. Then we just want it to focus on the most relevant content. So we've ensured that in the prompt, we've referenced examples of what is the most relevant content it should capture. What that does then is basically gives us a complete summary of the video content. So through the whole flow there. So once we've got the video summary there, we've effectively got everything we needed. So just to reiterate, what we've done is we've taken an input video URL, any video URL we can use, and we can programmatically insert that. So we can do it for multiple videos at a time. We've called an Apify actor, which scrapes transcripts from YouTube videos. We've then created 2 basic LLM chains with some fairly basic prompting. And what it's done is chunk that transcript into key sections and summarize our video and return those outputs. And what we end up with then is a clear transcript that we're able to use to repurpose our content. We've got key timestamps, so it's broken down key sections as part of the content, which we can put back into our YouTube descriptions to help with SEO, or we can also use for other content repurposing. Perhaps this helps the structure of our blog post. We've got lots of videos, helps us understand at high level what the video was about, what were the key points. So that's everything for being able to grab the video transcript. Super easy flow. I've linked the flow down in the description of the video if you want to grab it for yourself. This will form part of a larger series on how to repurpose your video content using no-code tools. Thanks.